system starts as soon as you take your first bite of food. The mouth works to tear the food into little bits and pieces. Saliva. Most of us know this term but rarely stop to think about what it actually is and where it comes from. Your saliva is secreted from salivary glands, drained into salivary ducts, and dumped into your mouth. More than 90% of it is water, but you will also find a digestive enzyme called amylase. Amylase will help break down carbohydrates. From the mouth, food will continue to the pharynx. Food, as well as air, passes through the pharynx, so when food is swallowed, the epiglottis closes off the trachea and sends food down towards the esophagus. Now that the food is in the esophagus, it needs to work its way down towards the stomach. The esophagus uses a series of muscle contractions called peristalsis to move food towards the stomach. This is what makes it possible to swallow food while upside down. The stomach is where food really starts to get broken down. Food is stored, mixed with digestive enzymes, and churned in the stomach. There are 4 main cells located in the stomach that help with the breaking down of food. The first cell is the mucus cell. This cell secretes mucus to help protect the stomach from the hydrochloric acid used to break down food. Hydrochloric acid breaks down proteins as well as kills any bacterium that enters the stomach. The second cell, used to secrete gastrin, is the G cell. Once gastrin is secreted, it signals the parietal cells to secrete the hydrochloric acid. Once the proteins are broken down, pepsin, made by the stomach, also aids in the process of digesting it. This brings me to my last type of cell, the chief cell, which secrete the pepsin. The small intestine completes the digestion of food. Once again, mucus is protecting the digestion wall. There are 3 parts of the small intestine: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, is largely responsible for the continuation of breaking down food. Chyme from the stomach is brought to the duodenum, which then is mixed with bile from the gallbladder and liver, as well as pancreatic juices from the pancreas. Bile plays a big role in digestion of fat and fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin A, while pancreatic juices continue to break down fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Before the food is passed into the duodenum, iron, calcium, and magnesium are absorbed into the bloodstream. The main job of the duodenum is to absorb nutrients. The villi and microvilli lining the walls of the duodenum greatly increase the surface area, making it possible to absorb more in a shorter amount of time. Water-soluble vitamins such as B vitamins, simple sugars, and amino acids are passed into the bloodstream after entering the duodenum. The chyme is then passed to the ileum, where the last of absorption happen. In the ileum, the last of the absorptions happen, so you can safely assume that the ileum has microvilli and villi helping it out. Most all of the important nutrients needed by the body is absorbed somewhere throughout the small intestine. Some of these include bile salts and B12. Fatty acids and glycerol are also absorbed, although they are absorbed by small lymph nodes. The only breaking down that goes on in the small intestine is the final breaking down of carbs and proteins done by the protease and enzymes. The absorption of water is the most important step that happens in the large intestine. Once chyme has been in the large intestine for about 3 to 4 hours, it will turn into mostly a solid. Once all of the water is removed, the chyme can now be called the feces. Muscles will now start to move the feces towards the rectum. Once the feces are pushed into the rectum walls are stretched, activating nerves which tell us that we must now dispose of the waste in a proper manner. Half of stomach contents is emptied in 2.5 to 3 hours. The stomach is totally empty in 4 to 5 hours. The small intestine is 50% empty within 2.5 to 3 hours, and transit through the colon is done in 30 to 40 hours.